And we are back. It is another episode of Lyrical Ones. I am one of three hosts of the show, Sineo. I am so thankful to be here today. I am so appreciative to be here today. And with that appreciation, I'd like to say, Be Spoken, how are you doing? How are you doing today?
Listen, what's up, everybody? I am Bespoken the
Hey,
Poet, and I am doing wonderful today. I am tired, which will probably be my regular status as we do this podcast since I live 3 hours ahead of y'all. But I am feeling really good. Yeah. What about you, Alex?
I'm excellent.
Affluence?
I'm excellent. Um, yes, I'm Al Fluent, Alex Q, a lyrical opposition. Glad to be here. It's been a wonderful, long day, and I know it's like any day above ground is great, but also when you when you're in a profession where you're passionate, you feel gifted, you feel um, productive and useful. uh, it's really also a blessing. And I think, I'm able to do something that I love doing. I wake up every day wanting to be a part of the community that I'm in. I want to wake up wanting to be a part of, the network, um, and share in people's lives the way I get to. I feel fortunate to be supported. I feel fortunate to be a part of this Lyrical Ones community. Welcome everybody to another week. We got a great guest on, but before we get to the guest, Cineo, how you living?
That was so good because if I got it, see, I got it too. You see how fast I came with it? Because I was like, I wasn't gonna be outdone. See, for those that can't see, for the audio only listeners out there, the thing is, it's mirrored when it comes to the screen, right? So if you watch it live, or if you're watching, me and Alfluent have always tried to get our synchronicity down when it comes to like being able to know which direction to point in, because it does look cool when you're able to get the cue down to point at the right square. And so you got to point in the opposite direction. And for so long we just been stuck. We just been so stuck, like being able to get the right point, you know what I'm saying, down on the
Way,
screen. So all we're
way
doing right now
backwards.
is just pointing at each other because it's been difficult going backwards, because it's like, going in the opposite direction. So for those that are listening, sorry for the long drawn out why we're talking about pointing at each other. So you know, this is, Lyrical Ones episode 38. Made sure to keep track. I'm gonna keep track on these. We're gonna pile up these numbers. I'm appreciative of the moment that we have, because we have a special guest.
Yes.
Um, Super flexible to be able to swoop on in and make this happen for us. Almo Thug, how are you doing, Almo?
Yeah, man. I just want to say I'm thankful to be here. I'm doing well today. Today's been a crazy day. I got my car smogged, you know. Just thankful to see another day. Just been chilling with my family, taking care of my dog, and just knocking out school homework.
Taking care of business, taking care of the necessities, the essentials, making sure that all the things are taken care of. I appreciate that. That's what's up. So Almo, what brings you to the Lyrical Ones podcast today? What you got going on?
You want the truth?
I mean, straight
Yes.
up. Come on.
Keep it
Yes.
What
100,
you wanted?
always.
Yes. Talk about your boy.
Last minute phone call, man. I got a last minute phone call from Figo Navarro. Shout out to Figo, man. He was telling me that somebody else was supposed to be on here today and they catted. So, I took him for the team and I'm here today.
For sure, for sure. It ain't no shame, no thing, right?
Step up
Everybody
to
get in
bat.
where they get in. Yes, definitely step up to bat. So, let's go with the obvious. Why the name Almo Thug? For those that don't know, those that need to know, why the name Almo Thug?
So, growing up with older siblings, I grew up in a household where my sister would listen to artists like Tupac, Bone Thugs and Harmony, Anthony Hamilton, Mac Dre. So, as I got older, it's kind of like monkey see, monkey do. You know what I'm saying? So they would listen to a certain type of music. So I grew up listening to a certain type of music. And when I was in middle school, I just became a huge fan of Bone Thugs and Harmony. and they have a song called "It's Almo Thug." And me being a laid back person, that's my personality. One day, I got my PlayStation 4, and I was making an account. And you know how like teachers they hit you with icebreakers like, oh, you could pick a animal that best describes you. What animal would it be and why? So for me, like I said, I'm a laid back person. So I was like, okay, what's something that's laid back? And I was like, okay, Bone Thugs, they have a song called "It's Almo Thug." So I just took out the "it's" and just ran with Almo Thug, and that's what people knew me as throughout high school.
Okay. So representing for the
Sure.
Midwest boys, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
For those the group, the one of the most amazing rap groups like
Out of
ever
Ohio.
out of Ohio, right? Like, man, talk about it. Cause I ain't gonna lie, for the longest I thought they was from the West Coast. I mean, of course they had the association with Easy E, but yeah, Bone Thugs and Harmony. That's not a bad move or a bad look to go with. So with that, when was, I guess, the introduction for you into like hip hop? Like how old were you? What was that one song that you were like you just was like, what is this? This is for me. Like when was that moment?
Man, I want to say around 2004. I was like 4 years old. First song I ever heard that I recall was Bone Thugs and Harmony, well, Crossroads by Bone Thugs and Harmony. I also recall listening to songs like "Want to Be a Baller" by Lil Troy, and like "Summer Nights" by Lil Rob, and Tupac Changes, "Dear Mama." Classics,
Okay.
man, straight
The
classics.
closest classics. I mean, you saying 2004, you got me
Yeah,
thinking my life is like, what happened? Because I'm like, 2000. So you said Bone Thugs and Harmony, right? Crossroads. I remember I must have been like 9 in the 90s listening to the Crossroads. If I can, I mean, if my frail old mind can even remember that far back, but I remember like for real. I don't know if you felt like this at 4, the way I felt at 9, but I was like, yo, I really feel real sad right now. Like I done lost people, but I couldn't even comprehend loss
yeah,
until I really like saw that music video and I was like, no, no. But yeah, it's like I just remember that feeling of like this sense of empathy to what I'm seeing in the imagery in the song and what it's making me think. Like living in a hateful world, like
yeah,
for those that don't know, right? Bone Thugs and Harmony, they literally were one of the first rap groups to really introduce harmonizing harmonies, melodies into rapping in a very like it was almost like they had like a choir like approach to it. Like for those that haven't listened to Bone Thugs and Harmony, definitely go listen to like First of the Month. Go listen to Crossroads. These are some classic songs that are just timeless. And so when you were 9, did you feel that sense of like emotional like pull, like Crossroads, like, oh, I feel this?
yeah. So back in 2004, I was confused. I'm like, what are they talking about? What are they talking about? All I remember was I got goosebumps. You know what I'm saying? I got goosebumps, and then a bit later, I want to say like around 8 years old, maybe 9, I seen the music video. I was like, wow, this is deep. And for some reason, every time me and my cousins would watch the music video, they had this scene where I want to say it's Uncle Charles. This man walks up to Uncle Charles and just puts his fingers on his forehead, and he kind of falls back. And we always found that to be funny for some reason. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I just felt goosebumps, and I still do feel goosebumps to this day whenever I listen to the song.
Yeah, no, that
Real
seems
life, man. It's real life.
it is real life. That
Real
scene that you're
stuff.
talking about scared the behemoths out of me. It scared
Yeah,
me so much. I was like, it's a man that could just walk up on you and make your eyes just turn black. Like
you take it, man.
it's real out here in these streets. I can't do it. Not for me. So I feel that. I feel that. So okay, so you brought up Tupac, right? You brought up, Bone Thugs. You brought up a lot of different types of, kind of elements of hip hop that you got to know. What would you say are like your go-to kind of favorite artists within the hip hop sphere?
Or at the moment, at the moment?
I mean, just in general. Like, I mean, at the moment, and then if you could like zoom out into like all time for you right now.
Yeah. So at the moment, I guess I've been slapping Ramirez. He's an artist from San Francisco, California. He has an album called The Player's Manual. So I've been slapping him, G Perico, and Tupac and Bone Thugs and Harmony. which is crazy because my lineup before I started making music has changed a lot. I used to listen to a lot of older cats like Bone Thugs and Tupac and like Bay Area stuff like the Jacka, Hustler. But now that I make music myself, I'm starting to listen to people like my age who have like that old school sound, like Ramirez, for example. Like G
Nice.
Perico.
It's
Sure.
much appreciated. We just got a comment on the screen from Indigo Sense, stopping by, sending positive energy to you guys. We'll catch the playback. By all means, please catch the playback. We definitely are doing it live right now, Wednesdays, every Wednesday. But for those of you that can't stick around, this eventually will be on Spotify. Give us a couple weeks. We gotta, get our things together. We're still wheels in motion at all times, even when they're like we ain't doing nothing. But just want to acknowledge those that acknowledge us.
Sir?
So you say what?
Yeah, man.
I was so caught off guard. I was like, wait a minute. Who came? How'd that cut in? Where'd it come from?
Everybody else in here, man.
Well, wherever you are, whoever you are, you're not on the screen, but welcome. So, just another thing is one of those when it comes down to it, like what makes you gravitate to the music that you listen to? Is it because of who you are as a person and your personality? Because you mentioned having that laid back kind of approach to just who you are in general. Is that the reason why you gravitate to those artists and that type of music?
Yeah, I definitely say personality and just being able to relate to a lot of the things that these artists rap about. Um, you know, they rap about real stuff. In my opinion, there's a lot of things I can relate to. They talk about death. I've witnessed loved ones pass away, and I've had peers pass away. So yeah, man, just personal experiences and personality, to be honest, and just like the instruments, like the beats they use as well. Like I'm really inspired by G Funk. So if something has like a G Funk type of vibe to it, I'm automatically a fan.
No, I hear that. I hear that. No, that's real. I mean, ain't nothing like a G Funk beat. Ain't nothing like that West Coast just funk, that bass, the way that it just sounds so clean and so full and so rich and so smooth. It's so much texture to it. To me, what I'm interested in is when did you start that kind of relationship transitioning from an observer to a participant, right? Like you
Yeah,
talked about at 4, you were, observer, you're young, and now you look to your peers who are making music as well, just as you are. What was that process like when was that first rap or that first beat that you was like, this is me, I'm doing this now? And what was that like?
yeah. So the first time I participated in a rap, I want to say was back in 2014, a part of my media arts class. At the time, I didn't plan on becoming a rapper. My main focus was, trying to play basketball, trying to go pro. And I was terrible at rapping. I didn't know that you had to write to the beat. I just thought that you had to write and rhyme, and then everything else would come together, which wasn't the case. And it wasn't until 2017 where I kind of lost motivation for my hoop dreams. So I said, like, I know there's something about me. You know what I'm saying? I don't want my potential to go to waste. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make music. So 2017 was when I noticed that the music scene was changing. We had like a lot of artists like Lil Pump, Lil Yachty coming up, and I didn't like what was on the radio. So 2017, I told myself I'm gonna start making music, but it wasn't until 2018, my senior year of high school, where I actually began making music. I saved up for a Mac. I got me a microphone and started using GarageBand. And the first project I had dropped is called Back to the 90s, which was just on SoundCloud. And I went by the artist name 90s, just 90S.
And so with that project, what, like, I mean, where you definitely were just hitting it right on the head in terms of what you were trying to do with that project, right? Like saying 90s, having such a high appreciation for that, you pretty much shouted some of the greatest artists of that era. I'm guessing this project is a representation of your perspective on 90s hip hop, especially with the West Coast funk, G funk
Yeah,
era.
definitely, for sure. Well, the project, when I first, when you first start making music, everybody goes to like an identity crisis. I went through multiple artist name changes and just trying to find my sound. I didn't really know much about music, so I was rapping about, just personas and some things that weren't true, just trying to, kind of get my feet wet. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
as I developed my sound, I kind of started, people tell me like, when are you gonna start rapping about real stuff? Because I had this persona where I was trying to be like a player. Because one of my favorite artists, that's what he was doing. So me trying to find my sound, I was like, let me do what he's doing. But then, like I said, just peers were like, we want you to rap about real stuff. So that's what I've been doing since, and just the reception's been crazy ever since.
That's what's up. That's what's up. You following definitely in the footsteps of the greats. I mean, 2018 to get your Mac and then be able to start your process, right? That's when the legend starts. 2018. This is when you started to say, I'm choosing myself. And, it goes to show, right? Like the Beatles are one of the biggest names in music, Rolling Stones, one of the biggest names in music. I mean, they come from, the Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf. Like, the Rolling Stones is the name of a song, right? Like they were just redoing songs that they heard and doing it their own way until they found their voice, right? So you definitely are following in the footsteps of greatness by, seeing what resonates with you and then owning that, finding who you are through it. Because it isn't so much an identity crisis as much as you saying, I'm gonna make my identity what I want it to be. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when you think about, when you really step back and you look at life and you look at kind of what was given to you, right? You didn't get to pick anything, it was just given to you. And now you realize, I want something for me, right? You even acknowledge, you was like, I'm not gonna let my potential go to waste. I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna find something. I'm gonna find a way to be known because I have something to bring to the world, right? Maybe it's not through my physical aspirations as a hooper. Maybe it's me figuring out my voice and knowing how to use it. And so, you definitely are following in those same footsteps of greatness, right? Like you hear the stories all the time, and and I see it in the way that you carry yourself, right? Like we've had our interactions online. I've been able to, connect with you at different points, and you definitely carry yourself with a very clear sense of self, right? And so that translates like extremely, extremely well. And so to me, it's like, what is your goal, right? Overall, right? You can rap, but what do you want to do, right? What is it that you're trying to leave behind when it comes to doing music?
Yeah. One of my biggest goals, definitely get my parents a house for sure. But overall, man, I want to use this platform to just give back to the city of Frisco, the people, to my people, the community, just the youth. You know what I'm saying? Like, hopefully, if everything goes as planned, I blow up. That's the goal, and just use that platform to start youth centers, build homes for people, and give jobs, just inspire the youth. I feel like a lot of negativity gets glorified out here, and I want to be that artist that lets folks know like the consequences when you do these certain things. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's real. That's real. I appreciate that. Um, that's a very big contrast from like people saying they want to run it up and they trying to get to the bag. You said, you're trying to take care of your family and you also trying to spread opportunities to the community. Where does that come from? Like where does that sense of responsibility come from to say, okay, when I get to it, I'm gonna share it?
Yeah. I think just my upbringing, to be honest, is being raised in a household, both Mexican parents, them working just minimum wage jobs, just seeing my mom work at a taqueria job for years, working hours just to provide. You know what I mean? I feel like that's where the humbleness and just the work ethic comes from, just seeing them struggle. I don't want that for them. I don't want that for nobody. And if I could give back, then I'll do that. You know what I mean? I'm not a selfish person. That's been me.
I hear that. I hear that. I mean, talking about wanting to have your own impact on the community, like were there kind of community organizations that you were affiliated with or went to or like supported you on your journey or still support you on your journey?
Yeah, growing up, I used to go to local Boys and Girls Club, but
Which one?
the one on 16th and Guerrero.
Okay, okay. Columbia Park. I feel it. I feel it. San Francisco, we out
Yeah,
here.
I was a foosball champion, but
Okay, games room. We out here.
yeah, but yeah. So I used to go there when I was young, but as you get older, you start, getting interested into other things. Basketball. I just don't really have time to go to the Boys and Girls Club, and then there's this youth center in the Sunset called Sunset Youth Services, which I've really gotten involved with these past 2 years, I want to say. And they for surely helped me a lot. And I recommend anybody, any youth out there, you looking to make music, definitely hit up Sunset Youth Services once this pandemic is over with.
No, definitely. They definitely have a for those that want to support the community and support those that work within the community, Upstart Records is on social media. So, you can find a way to connect and support if you're looking to support. And for those that are young, that are trying to figure it out and understand, like, you don't have to be creative to be creative, right? You don't have, like, one of the biggest things I just heard it the other day. I don't have talent like you. And I'm like, I didn't have talent like me at some point, right? It wasn't until I went to a program to teach me how to unlock and develop my talent that I had talent, right? The real talent is taking a chance and taking a risk. The real talent is putting in that hard work. Like you said, you was like, man, when I started rapping, I didn't know I had to like rap to the beat. I just thought I could just, I'm gonna write this down. I'm good. And it's like, no, you learn through the process, right? Like, Alfluent, what was that process like for you? Because we all know that you are a legendary, incredible lyricist as well. So what was, tie the strings together between your start and the process of you learning and discovering your ability with rap?
Yeah, so for me, like I grew up listening to everything, right? So I grew up listening to like lyricists like Chuck D and Slick Rick and Big Daddy Kane. So like this lineage of like storytellers and a lineage of like braggadocio rappers, right? It was like bigging themselves up, like Jay-Z comes from the bigging yourself up, lineage, right? Talking about how good you got it. Where somebody like Nas comes from the storyteller lineage, right? Andre 3000 from storyteller lineage, right? They're big on starting you somewhere and putting you somewhere else. And then musically, I was listening to Kool and the Gang and Sly and the Family Stone, um, like R.I.P. Chick Corea, Earth, Wind and Fire, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, Michael Jackson, LL Cool J, right? So I'm listening to all this stuff in the music video era, but I actually didn't start writing like poetry until I went to school, until I went to LA. So okay, I was in SoCal and I was kind of in that West Coast G-Funk, space. And I would just go to different lounges and watch poetry, and I was just started writing as an outlet. And so I was writing spoken word and just taking in, what was given to me from the community, but then also realizing that there were things within me that I needed to share. There's things that I've been through in my life, coming from the city, coming from San Francisco, that I needed to share. And so, like, losing a parent at a very young age, and then living a life where you watch people then pass away, in middle school, in high school, and then you just be like happy to see somebody in traffic and see that they're alive when you ain't seen them for a minute. Like, it gives you a different appreciation for just knowing a familiar face, just because, like, oh man, I'm just glad you ain't, under the ground somewhere. Like, even if you can't hang out with them, it's, you just want to like encourage them and let them know, how valuable they are, that and see them. Sometimes you see folks that be strung out. Sometimes you see folks that be in a bad way, but at the same time, you just like happy to see them. And so, like, for me, those are the type of subjects that was on my heart. Those are things that I would write about. And then when I went up to Sacramento, I used to catch the bus out in Sac after my car got put out of commission and my bike got stolen. So I was on a bus, and it was one of the best things that could happen for rapping, because I would just listen to beats and write. I would just take whatever I see and just start writing. And I had already had this spoken word thing, but I wasn't writing to beats then. And then I started to like listen to T.I.'s King album, Nas's Godson album, and they had these really like these two different styles, right? They had the Southern rap, because like I grew up listening to Pastor Troy, and like the Southern Atlanta rap, um, and the Goody Mob and Organized Noise, Outkast, and so like the the melding of soul music, and the MPC were like something that was like, really important to me in that style. So whether it was funk like Parliament, or soul music like Otis Redding, like whatever it was, if you could, mix that with a beat, um, those are like things like, and that's also jazz. Like it's a lot of different influences for me. But like when I would hear those things, when I could hear a beat start somewhere and then end up somewhere else, then I could then tell a story through that. Like you start here with just, a few horns, a few drums, and end up with some woodwinds, and end up with some cymbals, and a lot more fuller sound at the end of this track. Like I always enjoyed music that way, and so I tried to like formulate and tell stories in that same way, where we start somewhere. I would try to bring you into the neighborhood that I was talking about, bring you into the life or into a day, and kind of what happens in that world, what people feel in that world, what people see, and like how they're trying to survive the neighborhood that I'm in, or the plight, or the situation that they in. So like for me, it was just like taking what was real to me and making it real to somebody else. That was like the colors that I wanted to paint with, that I wanted to somebody to be in my neighborhood, to be walking down the street and like be able to see a check cashing place become a phone place, to become a fast food place, to become a check cashing place again, um, and see like that type of thing happen through history, um, just from people staying on the same corner. Uh, and so like for me, it was just about like whatever's real to me, I want it to be, real to whoever's listening, because I feel like that storytelling is like how we respect each other, how we learn from each other. And I always feel like we could create community by telling stories to each other.
For sure, for sure. I mean, you bring up a good point. Just to take it back home, the griot, right? Like
Yeah.
the griot. We come right. Us on the screen, we come from cultures that didn't rely heavily on the written narrative or the written account, right? We come from having to say it with our words, right? Storytelling, right? The ability to convey messages and capture our history, and the ability to either create a song that the community could sing, or to be able to tell a story to the next generation and have them carry it with them, right? And so now here we are as our generation's storytellers, right? Us being able to hold those messages within ourselves to pass on to others. And it's a profound thing to think about, because we all experience it in different ways. We all experience it, whether it's a comedian, a rapper, whether it's an athlete, right? Like, they be like, oh, just shut up and play ball, but they got something to say. And I think that's the thing, is that, given whatever platform we have, we will find a way to get the message across. And so I just wanted to highlight that, because it is something that I feel like is super important as to every person's origin story, especially when it comes to that ability to be a lyrical one. You see what I did there to bring it right back around. You feel me? But
So that's
Almo.
so that's interesting, because like for me, that's what I admire about Almo Thug, is that like his mindset is, to pass on, right? It's to give, right? He's not like trying to get, from people. Like he like even in like his authenticity, he said, when his peers tell him, you know, write about what's real, right, then he sheds that facade of, you know, trying to get a bag. And, you know, his mindset is then, you know, how can I benefit the people that are given to me? And then how can I benefit the people who come after me? Like that's all his sincerity and his authenticity is that he wants to look out for those youth and, you know, and be a good word to them. And then also he wants to benefit his family and his parents who, right, set an example, you know, of ethic, of compassion, of generosity, of, you know, being able to give when you don't have as much as everybody else. And, you know, you have to keep working every day. You know, it's hard to take days off when you need that whatever's coming to you that day, your family needs that. And so we like see that in his work ethics. Like you ask him what he's doing, he says, I'm just just making music and going to school. Like that's on his work playlist.
Yeah, no, you know, it's no biggie. Just going to work, going to school, just making music. You feel me?
But we know the generation of folks like grew up with us. Like even still, probably some people still in the city, still in the Bay. You ask them, like, "What are you doing?" I'm just making music,
That's
right?
real.
And they say, right, and they say, "Well, you know, are you really making music?" Like, or like they just writing, or they just recording whatever, or like they trying to get into the studio. Sometimes they don't like really just like be making music. They're not doing things. They're not saving up for a computer to
That
get
intentionality.
GarageBand, right? It's like they may be saying they doing music. I don't know. You know, folks who say they make music and, you know,
They ain't making music.
ain't operating the same way, right? They say they may be writing, maybe, but they ain't got notebooks on notebooks, right?
Oh,
They'll talk about it, right? They hang at the studio with somebody else who making music, and say, well, you ask them where they stuff at, they say, oh, it's on the way. Well, it's
my
6 months
situation
later.
ain't right.
It's 6 months later. Where your stuff at? You know, I just you know, I had to run into some things with the producer. He wasn't trying to, you know, meet me in the studio. Wasn't trying to have me in there. It's like the producer only let you in there. You know, the engineer only let you in there if you got money, or you do it yourself.
I mean, you see what had happened was, bruh, like my dog literally stole my car, bruh, and he ran it into a tree trying to get a squirrel, bruh. Like I'm telling you, it's so out of pocket, bruh. And I just after that I had to like put my dog in a hospital and I had to pay for his medical bills. So I couldn't get it. Like I just
But
couldn't
I
make it
could walk.
happen.
I could walk everywhere in the city. Like
Nah, bruh.
if you live here
You
long
see
enough,
what,
you could
bruh?
walk.
It
If you
ain't
had
good,
to,
bruh.
you could
It ain't
walk.
good, bruh. Bruh, it ain't good, bruh. Bruh, I'm trying to tell you, bruh.
Once you
Listen
out
to
your
me, bruh.
once
Bruh,
you
come
out your
on, bruh.
neighborhood
You
is
ain't
good.
hearing me, bruh.
Every,
Listen to what I'm
everybody
saying, bruh.
know the safest place and the most dangerous place is your own neighborhood. And once you out your neighborhood, ain't nothing to worry about.
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? And that's
once
man,
once you out your own neighborhood, you can walk anywhere carefree.
bruh.
The only thing you got to worry about is not being mistaken for somebody else in your own neighborhood.
That's so true. Like it's so crazy that you bring that up because it highlights the dichotomy of right of being from the city. Like when you live in areas known for adversity, right? Areas known for challenges and known for hurdles, right? When you within your own home, 9 times out of 10, and I will say 9 times out of 10, usually it's a safe space. Once you step foot outside, that's when you may run into those other situations, right? But once you make it past the boundary and you start venturing away, now it's kind of like what you gonna make of it, right? What are you gonna do with the time, right? You gonna cat it off and just kick it, or are you gonna try your best to be productive? And there's nothing wrong to like we ain't trying to shame nobody for any situation. Go through what you gotta go through. But it can be hard for the people who has sacrificed and put so much in to keep hearing the same story, especially when we as a community, we all got care for each other, right? And it can be hard when you care about somebody and they keep selling you these wolf tickets. For those that don't know, wolf tickets, right? If you remember the story, The Boy Who Cries Wolf, we've converted that into selling tickets. So you can figure out the dichotomy of what that means on another subject at another time. But right, getting back to the subject at hand, people will sell you these wolf tickets knowing that there's no merit, there's no value, and there's no truth to them. And that's really what it is, right? Is that, you know, I'm interested to hear, like, Almo, what is it like now for you to invest your time, right? Knowing that you're busy, knowing that it's hard, like, what is it like for you to manage and navigate all these different things, right? I'm pretty sure you got your relationships, whether it be family, friends, or etc. And then you doing music on top of going to school. Like, what is it like for you to manage your time, and what is your time worth?
Yeah, yeah, hear me.
For sure,
Hello.
for sure. Yeah.
Uh, it's honestly stressful sometimes, man. Just having a lot going on. You know, you got family, you got school, you got work, you got music. It's stressful, man. So I try to be very wise and very smart with how I manage my time. You know, being an up and coming artist, you also got to dedicate a lot of time to social media, which can be very stressful. Um, but yeah, for me, I just make sure that I don't really try to overwhelm myself too much, which is something like people that go to college, that's a mistake that they do. They tend to have class every day. I make sure that I have like a gap. If I go to class Monday, let me take Tuesday, maybe Wednesday off, and then, you know, go to school Tuesday and Friday, and then dedicate like the weekends to homework.
Yeah.
No, I hear that.
How
I
did you
mean,
get into that practice?
Just it's always been something about me, just moving smart. Like they say, don't work hard, just work smarter. So, you know, I gotta work smart, man.
Yeah.
no, that's real. That's super real. Most people don't take that into account. I mean, you know, what does it mean for you to come from the city, like San Francisco, to come from here? Like, what does that mean to you?
I'm honored, man. To be honest, we have a lot of history and culture out here. I'm very honored, but I feel like Frisco kind of gets downplayed, though. You know, I feel like when people think of San Francisco, they don't think of like San Francisco how we know it. They think of like the techie version, like the Golden Gate Bridge, Full House, the Castro, Lombard Street. You know what I mean? Like, that's not San Francisco, bro. Like, it gets cracking out here. You know what I mean? You know, you got cars on like Dolores getting broken into. You know what I'm saying? So it's come on, man.
Yeah.
You know, don't try to downplay the second free city. We got folks out here talking about, you guys don't call it Frisco, it's called San Fran. Like, we've been calling it Frisco for the longest. You know what I mean? So
The city, Frisco, the SCO, right?
all that.
Like, what?
Sucker free.
San Fran? Nobody calls it Saran wrap. What are you talking about? Like, people be tripping out here trying to put a name that don't exist. Okay, like, disgusting. I can't believe these people. And I used to say, right, it was we went from sucker free to sucker field, but it's starting to look like it's sucker free again. And that, to me, you know, I've had conversations with people who actually have been impacted, right? Like, that's another thing people don't even want to trip about. Like, yeah, people kind of were impacted by this situation and be like, oh, I can't live out here no more, right? And it's like, why do you have such an attitude towards people who come out here? And I'm like, because they didn't take the time to understand what they were taken from. They didn't take the time to come and be a part of what already existed. They didn't take the time to understand what was already here. And that, to me, is hurtful. So when you got to boo-hoo and leave, I'm a hee hee ha every time, right? Because I had to go through the trauma of that, right? I'm not in an advantageous position. So have you seen, like, you know, like, that impact where you live, like the impact of gentrification, the impact of, like, you know, your friends no longer live down the street, or, you know, what has that looked like for you?
Yeah. I actually have witnessed it growing up. I have had some friends have to, you know, they moved out to like the East Bay due to gentrification, and just a lot of childhood memories are gone now, you know, due to like murals being erased and just a lot of history being erased. Man, they're trying to turn San Francisco into something that it's not. But then they get mad at like the OGs that been out here in Frisco for like trying to stand up, you know, and trying to speak up. So like I said earlier today, that's why I'm trying to use this platform, you know, to, you know, use it for positivity. If I could speak up against gentrification, then that's something I'm gonna do. I've witnessed it. I've had, you know, friends move out of this city, and it's not a good feeling, you know. Like, I can't imagine I've never been in a situation where I'd had to do that, but I can't imagine being in that situation. Like, it's going to be difficult, you know. Worst comes to worst, homeless, and that's not a good feeling. You know, we got a lot of people out here without homes. They've been homeless for years, months, you know. And then when it rains too, it's like these people, their little tents are getting messed up, and it's not a good feeling. And I don't want anybody to ever have to experience that. You know, I'm thankful I haven't. And I hope that, you know, a solution could come from this. It's not cool, bro, to grow up. You know, a lot of these memories, bro, they're gone now. And something that I've noticed today, there's this video about this situation that happened back in 2014 with the soccer field. I've been seeing a lot of people repost that, which is crazy because I used to go to that soccer field, and I don't know if I was there that day when that had occurred, but a lot of the people in that video I used to play soccer with, those were my peers. And it's just crazy how like a lot changes. And I wish that this was something that I would have been taught when I was young. Because, you know, growing up, seeing these changes as a youth, like 9 years old, you're like, oh, what is this? That's cool. But once you get into high school, that's when they start breaking down what's actually going on. You know, this change isn't for the better.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I appreciate that. It's a clear situation of that disconnect between, you know, the have and have not, right? Whether you have access to your history, whether you don't have access to history, right? Whether you have access to wealth or you don't have access to wealth. And I'm not just talking about wealth as in wealthy. I'm talking about multi-generational wealth. You know, you brought up the situation that happened at the soccer field, and I recall that it was if I remember correctly, it was like the Dropbox Bros or something. It was like the people that worked at Dropbox were trying to say that they laid claim to this for a certain period of time when it's an open park, right? Like, this is a public space. People utilize it. There's already this community that's utilized this playground for years, right? And now all of a sudden we got to sign up for you got to sign up for use. Like, you got to, what is it? There's a line now. Like, I got to wait in line to be able to use something that's for everybody. Oh, I can't be here because you say this is yours. You're entitled to this for a certain amount of time. Since when, right? There's this shift. There's this dynamic. There's this disconnect. And I feel you. Like, it is a thing where it's like, yeah, people who are from here, oftentimes they try their best to represent things in a proper way. And I can speak from the perspective of somebody who's been impacted by gentrification. I was impacted from what I call the first round of gentrification, when it was the late 90s, early 2000s, when the dot-com first tech bubble was starting to build up before it popped. And it's crazy because you know, when you move forward, you don't go backward, right? That's maybe not for everyone, but for a lot of people that I know, it's common where once you start heading in one direction, you can't go backwards. That's just time. That's just what time does. Yet, and especially when it comes to technology, right? Like, if you especially a fan of 90s hip hop, you familiar with a cassette, right? Like a cassette tape, right? So if we take it back, there's the 8-track, take it back, it's vinyl. You keep going back, there's different mediums for music. We go forward from the tape, we go to CDs, and then from CDs, we in the digital files and now streaming, right? And they, you know, now you see how people consume music. They're not using a device to play the medium. It's on their phone. Everybody uses their phone for everything. You probably watching this on your phone. You probably interacting through your phone, right? And so as things move forward, we don't go backward, right? The technology advances. We ain't looking to like, oh, let's go get some cassettes. Now, it's a novelty. Don't get me wrong. People still buy them, but it ain't en masse like it used to be, right? And I think that's the thing, is that we often forget how things can just all of a sudden finito la musica, and it's a wrap. And I say that term in the sense of everything just stops, right? Everything gets cut off. And here we are, right? We're at this new age where our whole world has been disrupted. And it wasn't a tech bubble, right, that kind of revealed this exodus of people, because that's what we was dealing with back in like the early 2000s. There was a first exodus of people where like, oh, the dot-coms is over. And it's like, ever since then, it was like it was never gonna end. It was like it's never gonna stop. They just gonna take over. It's a wrap. And then all of a sudden, now we're all dealing with this pandemic, and oh, people are leaving, right? And it's like you don't realize how this is going to come around, but it comes around, right? And so for me, I was always praying for the day. I was waiting. I was like, when y'all gonna leave? When y'all gonna be up out of here? It's gonna happen. I don't know how, but clearly it happened. I didn't know to what degree. Not now, it wasn't me wishing on death or wishing or banking on people being in unhealthy or dire circumstances. That's not what I wanted. What I wanted was my piece of home back. I wanted what I called a home to be back in my possession, because everybody had their turn to do what they wanted, right? And it's like, once you don't have that place to call home, or you have that place to call community, you don't realize how things just feel unbalanced, how things just seem out of whack, how you feel like there's like this sense of despair because you don't have that anchor to center you, right? You don't have a place to lay roots. And I think, what you're doing is giving people that ability to connect those dots and bring it back to the core of like, where do you come from? Who are you? What matters to you? What has value, right? You talking about family, you talking about helping the community, you talking about being of support to others, right? One of the quickest ways to reach success is to help somebody else get there, right? People don't say that enough. They always be like, it's me, 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 I. And I think that you've definitely shown a display of like what it means to understand kind of your relation to the world, right? What is your responsibility to the world? In your family, like, what does it look like? Are you like one of many siblings, one of a couple siblings? Like, where do you fall in the hierarchy of things?
Yeah, so I got an older brother and I got an older sister. So I'm the youngest of the family. Yeah.
Okay, so you feel like you got something to prove. You like, oh yeah, I ain't just some young buck out here. I'm about to show y'all who I am.
Yeah, man. I gotta represent, man. Growing up, I hated getting beat up by my siblings. Now I'm the tallest. You know what I mean? Most talented from the family. So I gotta represent. Let them know, like, hey, man, you can't beat me up no more.
For real, for
So
real. I'll rap you and I'll crack you. What do you want to do? It's nothing. And it's all love, okay? We're saying with a level of restraint because you're doing it with love, okay? We're not promoting violence, but we will say you have to defend yourself if it gets bad or ugly. So I feel you. I feel you.
Cindy, I like that you mentioned like the idea of having an anchor, something to come back to like keep people grounded. Almo, what are the things that ground you, keep you focused, to keep you from being overwhelmed? What things do you kind of focus on? What anchors and foundations do you have? Where does that sense of identity come from to where you say, I know who I am? And how did you like come to learn who that person was?
Yeah. So once again, man, just my upbringing, just personal experiences and just situations I've been through and how I've maneuvered through situations. I've been in bad situations that could have ended up worse. And, just the way I maneuvered through them, I've been in good situations, you know what I mean? Good and bad. And just, I think it's just how you maneuver in life. If you move a certain type of way, thinking you're all bad, nobody can touch you, you're untouchable, so I wouldn't recommend that, because then that's going to catch up to you. And, growing up young, I do want to say I was pretty ignorant. Like, I didn't really care. But at some point, you got to humble yourself, man. We're human at the end of the day. We're not bulletproof. You know what I mean? So it's all in how you move, man. Move smart.
Oh, that's real. That's real. You got to learn how to move smart. Not everybody got the game. You know what I'm saying? Some people just don't understand. Take your time to learn the game, because it is a thing where, I mean, what is your sense or awareness? Like, what do you, when I say ego, what comes to mind? Right? Because you seem like a real humble dude, and it seems like you might have a good insight or perspective on what the ego is and how the ego gets down.
Yeah, man. That's a tough question. You said my definition of ego?
Yeah,
Or
how
what?
do you view it?
Man, I don't know. That's hard, man. I feel like I've never had one. You know what I mean? Like, that's a hard question. My definition of ego.
Well, I mean, like, so if you know you never had one, what do you like equate that to then? Like when you see someone who's, you know, got ego, like what would you say is, you know, the things
Yeah.
that you steer clear of?
Probably somebody who's damaged, probably insecure. That's what I think of when I think somebody has an ego, like they're afraid. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I feel like when somebody's egotistical, they're putting up a front that they're afraid that you're gonna overdo them. I feel like that's what it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Sir.
So you feel like you're not operating out of a place of fear, but more like a place of a work ethic, a place of, you know, trying to improve.
Yeah. Like I said, man, like I didn't see the ugly, and I didn't see the good. So I know what life comes with. At the end of the day, we're all gonna die. What is there to be afraid of? We're people at the end of the day, bro. If something happens, something happens. Like, you know.
Yeah. So you feel like you learned a lot from your missteps and being in, you know, situations that, you know, weren't the most ideal, and, you know, being able to, you know, navigate out of those situations. You feel like you learned a lot on how to, you know, navigate away from those situations and not end up in those same situations. And you feel also, do you feel like um, the choices that you're making now um, are more goal oriented?
Yeah, and a big part of that too also had to do with like the people I was hanging around with. I wasn't really hanging around with people who had the same interests as me. Me being somebody who does music now, I should ideally be hanging out with people who also want to make music. It makes no sense for me to hang out with people who just want to be kicking it, at the house if I want to make music, because then that's gonna lead to me getting distracted and not want to, do my overall goal, which is music. I don't want that. I don't need that. I don't want to get sidetracked. I want to kick it with people who are gonna motivate me to reach my goal and just to become a better person.
Yeah, that's good. I feel like a lot of us as humans become stagnant when we align ourselves with people who don't have the same interests as us or don't have the same perspective of life as us. Um, when you got people who, you know, who think similarly or who are vibe with you, um, they won't they won't shame you for what you want to do, and you won't feel resentful of them when when their goals don't align with yours. And I think when we as humans learn to communicate our needs and then listen to other people's needs, then one, we can operate in a place where we're less judgmental, and then also we can think we can waste less time, you know, doing stuff that we don't necessarily want to do.
Nah, that's real. That's super real. I agree. Like it is a thing where, you know, when you get around certain people, it's almost like are you another planet or are you just some space dust? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you on your own planetary trajectory? Like, do you exist with me in this solar system, or are you just my moon? Right? You just following me. Like, you kind of you get my tide high and then you get my tide low, right? Or are you like a part of my bigger universal ploy of like how do we move as a solar system, right, in this universe? Or are you just some asteroids trying to make a false impact on me? You know what I'm saying? Like you got to think of yourself in that way, right? If you what's your power lie in, right? Am I planetary or am I just a speck? Am I just a fart in the universe, right? Am I just a piece of gas, right? It's like that's the I would hope what people can take away from this is the sense of how to find and be true to yourself and how to grow and nurture that in a world that at times is hurting, right? Because you hit it on the head, like straight up. People with their ego, and I'm not trying to denounce people being confident. Being confident is knowing what you're capable of doing or having a belief in yourself to do something more. Having an ego is you trying to have a defense mechanism to try and say, I'm better than everybody, right? When where's the contest, right? What's the point of the comparison, right? You're sitting here trying to one up, and we all trying to get up, right? The crab in the bucket syndrome. I mean, what is your experience with crab in the bucket syndrome. Have you experienced that, or have you been able to like maneuver in a way where you haven't had to see that happen? Because I like to say we come from crab in the bucket central, and somebody see you going up, they quick to be like, come back down. So what has your experience been like with that?
I've honestly been thankful enough not to have experience. Like, one thing about me, I tend to, keep my circle small and just be smart, who I keep around with, stuff like that. But I've definitely witnessed that, a lot of, shade gets thrown underneath the table. People be hating on each other. People that kick it with each other be hating on each other. I just don't understand, but yeah, I've been thankful enough not to experience that, and I hope I don't anytime soon.
Oh, that's real. That's beautiful. I hope, wish, and pray the same, because trust me, in this world, oh my goodness, the things people do when they see you shining. Like, again, are you another sun in your own solar system? Or are you just a planet following my sun? Because I'm shining. But again, people want to try and eclipse you, but it only lasts for a moment, can't last forever. Um, to me, I'm interested in like, what is music looking like for you right now? Like, what are you working on? What do you got? What's you cooking? I see on the gram, you was looking like you was getting some art work going out there in the nature of the, what was that? Was you on Dolores? Was you over there in the mission? Like, it looked like you was right outside the church. What's going on? What's happening?
Yeah. So I got a song dropping tomorrow called "Rolling in the West," and shout out to Figo, man. Figo Navarro, he took time out of his day to shoot the cover art, man. We were right there on 16th and Dolores, right in front of Mission Dolores Church. And yeah, man, I'm excited to drop this. It's something for the players, the ladies, the gents. I'm thankful to drop this right before the month of love is over with. You know what I'm saying?
I hear that. The
Sure.
month of love. I appreciate that. The month of love. I thought you was about Alfluent. I thought that was you. Yeah, I thought you about to.
Hello.
Man, nah, I just want to know, like, tell us a little bit about the song. Where's your motivation for the song?
Yeah, just the month of love. I wanted to do something different. I want to show people that I'm versatile. You know,
Nice.
people know me as making deep music, so I want to let people know that I could also make something for the ladies. So
Nice.
yeah, man. So to the fellas out there, if you want to dedicate a song to your lady, "Rolling in the West," that's the one.
Sure.
Okay, I hear that. Rolling in the
That's
West.
that's that date night riding in the whip music, huh?
Yes, sir, man. Knock some boots to that too.
Set set
Hey,
set
do
the
what you
mood, huh?
do. Get the move going. You hear me?
I feel it.
I mean, what day does it release on?
Tomorrow.
Uh, Tomorrow, Thursday, so February 25th
Is that a
on Thursday.
midnight release? Is that like 4 hours from
Uh,
now if you're on the West Coast time, or is it gonna be like you got 10 a.m. or something popping?
I think like afternoon, probably like three,
Okay,
5 o'clock.
for sure. Gotta make sure, you know what I'm saying? People hurry up and go get your pre-save. Is there a pre-save link for that? Can people
Yeah,
pre-save it on Spotify?
save, but I don't like the pre-save. You know what I'm saying? I just want people to tune in.
Oh,
Just
okay. I feel you. You ain't messing around. You're just trying to get people out there to listen. I feel that. I understand, man.
Nice.
Is there gonna be a video to this by any chance? Or we gonna get to see, Almo get his acting chops on? I mean, if you got Figo behind like any camera, he gonna get you acting. So what's going on?
we gonna see, man. We gonna see. Most likely, but don't hold me on that. Most
All right, I
likely.
feel you. I feel you. The struggle's real. Okay, I'm going through the same trauma and drama right now. I'm doing YouTube videos, trying to do music videos. I'm supposed to be releasing music every week, and man, but it's life is real. So I feel you. I feel you. So you going to school too, right? What are you going to school for?
So right now, I'm currently majoring in communications, and my goal is to get a BA in communications and eventually work at a youth center.
Nice.
Okay, okay. What
What you
was
want to
what?
do with what you want to do with the youth? What you want to do in the youth center? Elmo Thug. You want me to call you Mr. Elmo Thug? You at the youth center?
It don't matter, man. Just treat me with respect, and I treat them with respect. But I just want to let them know that they could accomplish, more than just being stuck at the house, kicking it with the homies, doing things they shouldn't be doing. And I want to be that example. Me coming from the projects, and being with parents low income. I'm supposed to be statistic, you know, looking how I look. I'm not supposed to be in college, so I want to be that inspiration and just motivate them.
Nice. Love it. Love to see that.
No, definitely. I hear that, man. That's super dope. What made you want to do communications? Was it literally trying to be like the best MC you could possibly be? Like masters of communications? Do we see that in the future? Or you just like I'm one and done. I'm trying to get this bachelor's. I'm on my way.
Yeah, man, I'm being honest, man. I think I'm when it done. Yeah, college, man, it's stressful to be honest. But honestly, one thing I've noticed about me, like I don't like school, you know what I'm saying? But once I graduate, I tend to reminisce. So like when I graduated high school, I reminisced and wanted to go back to high school. So there might be a possibility that I end up getting a master's, but only time will tell, you know.
The ultimate MC. I'm just saying, Almo Thug, the ultimate MC. I
Master
mean,
communications.
I'm
MC.
just saying.
That'd be
You know what I'm
nice.
saying? But it's up to you. No pressure. All right, you out here doing it enough, doing the most, and I think that's amazing, and it is a benefit and gift to the community because it's not enough black and brown folk out here who are changing the statistics, right? Changing the odds, changing the narrative, right? People don't realize, people always romanticize, oh, the mission, Latin culture, but there's another side to the mission, right? There's another side where it gets dangerous. It can get real crazy and people don't always make it out, right? People end up locked up or end up somewhere buried deep. And it's not that they had a choice, right? Sometimes they born into situations or born into circumstances where there's pre-existing events going on, pre-existing challenges that are pulling at their ability to live. And it's great to romanticize and create a picture of what the mission is, but I think a lot of times people don't realize all the variety and elements that come with the mission, right? Like we've talked about redlining before, and we talked about how gentrification has impacted things, and those things are years old, right? We're talking decades upon decades. We talking more than people had the ability to even live in some of these neighborhoods or their families existed in these neighborhoods. They already decided where people were going to live before they got there. And when you yourself are defying the odds, right, and then you're redefining what does it mean to come from these areas, it's profoundly incredible. It's amazing. It's necessary, and I'm glad and honored to be able to share this space with you, to see you take on these new challenges, take on these hurdles, because I tell you, they try, right? And it's a thing where adversity shows up in different ways, but I'm glad that you said, like, you've been able to see what work ethic looks like, that you've been able to have these core foundational things that most people never get a chance to understand. Like people be looking to get a check from their parents. People don't even see the merit or the what does it mean to have grit? What does it have to be self-determined, right? What does it mean to have discipline? Not get your butt whooped, but to wake up early in the morning when you don't feel like it, right? We done had a long night the night before, and I'ma watch my parents get up and go to work early, right? On time. No excuse, no issue, right? I mean, what is that like to you? What is it like? What does it mean to be a young Latin man, right? Young Mexican American at that, and to be from the mission?
Yeah, it's good and it's bad. You know what I'm saying? Mission, one of the historical neighborhoods out here in San Francisco, man. And just being Latin, you get stereotyped, man. You get stereotyped by your own people, by outsiders, easily get mistaken for a rival gang member, But then you got the good. People like you, people like how you look, you stand out, you know what I'm saying? The women love you. And yeah, man, it's good and bad. And I'm honestly thankful that I got to see 21. When I first turned 18, I didn't think I was gonna make 18, to be honest. Just based on how I look, just my overall demeanor, how I dress, just being able to make it past 18 and 21, man. Like I said, I don't want to be a statistic, and I want to beat the statistics. So hopefully I can make it to 25, 30, 35, 40, and just get to see 80, 100. You know what I mean?
There it is.
For sure, I'll be right there with you. You talking about 100? That's them my numbers. That's what I'm talking about. Hundreds. Well, I'm like everybody be like, oh, when I'm 70, it's all down here. Psh, y'all tripping? What? Self-limiting beliefs ain't happening over here. We going to take it to the max. Tripping. Now I feel that though, because it is a thing where it's like, you know, I remember there was a time when you couldn't wear certain Jordans on the 14 because there's a number associated with them Jordans. And if you had them on and they was the wrong colors, you better learn how to use that emergency hatch and run it. Run to your everlasting gobstopper. It don't exist. Like straight up. People take that for granted. Like people don't even realize like when you see the mission, you see like this colorful, vibrant area. But when you a certain age and you on certain buses, it's like your head on swivel. Like people be like, oh, you don't have to sit in the back of the bus no more. No, you sit at the back of the bus because you see the whole bus, right? If you sit in the back of the bus, you have the king seat of observation. That's the observation point because you can see all exits. You can see everything before it's coming, right? You got emergency hatch above you. You got emergency to the left and to the right. And if you really lucky, you got emergency right behind you. You're not always lucky, but at least you got like 3 out of 4. So, just wanted to paint that picture for those that didn't know. Coming from the city to Frisco, San Francisco, at that, it's real out here. And I think people, you want to romanticize things. Yeah, people do think of the landmarks. Those are landmarks. Those ain't neighborhoods. That ain't community, right? Golden Gate Park, that is not like what's maybe a coyote or something if you're lucky. But it ain't no real community over there, right? It's just a park, right? When you talk about the Golden Gate Bridge, that's no one lives on the Golden Gate Bridge. Like we talking about where people live at and where people have been impacted generations. Oh, well, we talking about a different part of the city altogether. And I think that's one of the things that just gets lost in the sauce when people want to talk about the story of San Francisco. It's all, everything matters. But when it comes to the reality of what people live through and what people have seen, the details is much different. So I just wanted to highlight that. I mean, Almo, do you have anything that you want people to know about you that they don't know, or means or ways for them to get connected and access to you?
Yeah. All my music can be found on all streaming platforms. I go by the artist name Almo Thug. That's A2LsMothug. And to the OGs out there, I got CD copies of my debut project, Still Coasting, which I've sold physical copies out here locally, France and Japan. And shout out to the folks out in Japan. But I got a question for you, Senio. I got a question for you, man.
For sure.
So, I need me an autographed mask, but I did want to ask you, what's the backstory behind the mask and like the design?
For sure. So, when it comes to the mask, there's multiple reasons why I got the mask, right? But one of them is because I just appreciate confidentiality. I appreciate privacy. I appreciate anonymity. I think that, we live at a time period where people are just so available. You just like, as soon as people see your face, they know your face and they feel like they know you. And I also see that when it comes to being an artist, I believe that artistry is a role, right? It's something that you do, but it doesn't make up everything as to who you are, right? Because you can be multiple things, right? Just as you said and you've shown, you're an artist, but you're also a student. You're a scholar, right? You're an activist, right? You're a family member. You're a part of the community. You're a community member. So there's all these different elements that make up who you are. And I feel like we live at a time where people believe they're entitled to you once they see, oh, you're artists, right? It's nothing for me to run up on you and be like, hey, oh my God, right? And it's like when the mask on, you know what it is. When the mask off, you ain't gonna know who this person is. And that's the point. You're not supposed to know, right? It's not about me being iconic, right? It's about me being symbolic. I'm symbolic of something else, right? If somebody wants to come 20 years from now and pick up the mask and continue the legacy in their own way, they have the means to do so, right? Because it ain't about me, it's about you, right? When I make the music, it's me, but it's me just communicating my basic human emotions and feelings that we all go through, right? May not share every specific element, but I mean, we breathe the same air, right? We share the same planet. I don't know nobody coming from Mars or yet alone Andromeda or any other galaxy. So we got some commonalities that we share, right? Bodies made up of water. That's what you need. You don't need to know if I'm cute or if I'm ugly. You don't need to know what's going on. You can see the skin color. You know what day it is. When I start to, get into the nitty gritty of my identity, and then you start to see, oh, okay, giving bits and pieces of myself. That's one thing, but the face ain't for sale, right? The mask is, and that's kind of how I see it. Is that I gotta represent for those who ain't thinking about it, because at some point it's gonna become real, right? Your face is currency now. That's your money, right? That's your brand. And to me, this is trademarked. Can't nobody own this but me. If I want to sell it, I could sell it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing that I really appreciate and like, is that the mask gives me the ability to separate myself, right? To maintain my privacy, my anonymity, and my sense of identity away from music. I get to preserve that, right? Now let's go even deeper. Daft Punk, one of the most important to me artists in the past, like, man, I would say like the past 50 years, right? Like if we really looking at music as for what it's worth today, and we look at like electronic music, electronic dance music, like even when you take into account that hip hop and trap, the trap beat, trap sound, right? Like people went from making their beats at 70 BPMs. For those that don't know what BPM is, that's beats per minute, right? So 70 BPMs is usually like a really good groove you can get with a beat. Now people double it to 140. But what also comes with that, right, is the ability to incorporate like elements of dance music, electronic dance music, which started a lot of it started in Detroit. People don't really realize or know that, right? We had these incredible producers, these black producers in Detroit creating this electronic sound, right? That they were inspired by all these other artists. And, right, these two French guys put on masks because they wanted to be able to keep that separation, right? To keep that identity of who they are versus what you are to the people, right? And I think that there's something to be said about that resonated with me, because I'm like, I always was mesmerized by like, yo, they could really walk the streets and no one would know who they are. And I always liked that. I never liked the idea of being praised or people trying to put me in a on a pedestal, right? Like I'm not here to be worshipped. I'm not here to be praised, right? If you like my music, then appreciate the work, right? Appreciate the art. But don't come and be like, "Oh my God, he's so amazing." Like you don't know me, right? And that's the thing. Like oftentimes you put so much stake, aka Kanye, and you be like, he's my everything. And then when he shows that he's learning, right? Because that's what he's doing. He's growing, he's learning, or he's hurt and he's struggling. Then it's, oh, I can't believe him. I don't, cancel him. And it's like, well, understand that, you decided to associate him for everything that he is with his music, not for who he is behind closed doors, right? You don't know what he's up to, right? You could look at so many artists where you have to call into question who are they, right? And it's like they're human. And I think that's the thing. We want to put them in this iconic category where they're untouchable, or there's no harm they could do. And to me, it's like, my life is for me. What I put out with the mask on is for you. And that's how you maintain the boundary. And I think Daft Punk did a really great job of doing that, right? And it carried over. Now, when it comes to the design of the mask, I'm Black and Latin, right? So for me, I wanted something that was easily recognizable, right? And I couldn't think of anything that represented my culture more than a luchador mask, right? I'm a child of wrestling. I loved wrestling growing up. And luchador masks and masks in general in wrestling were some of the most dopest things, because you never knew who was underneath the mask, right? And sometimes it would be your favorite wrestler that usually wouldn't have a mask on. Sometimes we'll put the mask on to be a whole nother character or a whole nother identity, right? And so for me, it was a way to capture my culture, my upbringing, and be able to maintain my identity while also keeping that separation, right? So I appreciate you asking me and giving me space to share. But I represent for those that don't always have the face, right? I represent for those that need to be able to step away from the screen, right? And so yeah, the mask is a way to keep that boundary and to maintain that space and distance between who I am and who I need to be for the people that love me and are close to me, and then for me to be the person I need to be for those in the public, right? Because again, the mask is for sale, the face is not. So, yeah, I appreciate that. And I got your physical CD coming. I mean, what I'm saying, the struggle's real out here. I'm working. Let's get the gospel. Getting it every day. But yeah, I mean, you turned the tables on me with that one.
Yeah,
man. I need me a copy, man. Autograph mask.
I got you. This mask was made in El Salvador, so I gotta like figure out how I'm gonna get these masks produced. Because originally I was trying to get them done in La Mission, but the world changed. So we gonna figure it out. We gonna see how we're gonna do this. But I got you. You first person up. I got you for sure.
Right on, man. Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, it's all good. I appreciate you as well. Any other questions? Anything else?
Nah, we just happy that he made it through. Came through at the last minute to clutch with us.
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
definitely. Game winning shot right here.
Yes, sir.
Answer
man.
that call.
For real,
Yes,
for real. Came through,
Yo,
shut the
I
game
was
down.
going to ask you something else. So you had mentioned wrestling. I just wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on Razor Ramon?
Ooh.
It's funny. I seen you put Razor Ramon up. Razor Ramon, like the bad guy, right? Like for those that don't know about 90s wrestling, Razor Ramon was like this just iconic kind of greaser wrestler who was just super slick, super ill, and just he was the bad guy, right? He had an iconic ladder match with Shawn Michaels that was like one of the best displays of just showmanship within sports entertainment. And so, Razor Ramon to me always holds a special place, just given not only the space he occupied when he was with, what we know now is WWE, but back then WWF, and then went on to WCW. I mean, man, the way he would talk, like when you hear him in an interview versus when you hear him, like him as the character Razor Ramon versus who he is as a person.
Scott Hall.
Scott Hall and Razor Ramon, night and day. And I don't mean Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall. I mean Scott Hall when he's not in character, right? Like when he's away from the industry and he's retired. Like I heard an interview, I was watching an interview and I was like, who is this man? Because how he told, he's like, yeah, I'm the bad guy. And it's like super drawn out and super slow. And then when we were out there in the ring, and then I couldn't help myself. And I'm like, who in the heck? So Razor Ramon, incredible wrestler, incredible character. Just so much history that pre-Attitude Era, kind of like the I want to say
set the stage. He set the stage for the Attitude Era.
Definitely set one of the founding fathers of setting the stage for the Attitude Era. Like right before they decided to turn it up, he was definitely igniting the flames to start it. So yeah, Scott Hall, aka Razor Ramon, love him. Alice Wonders came through from Twitch saying, for the youth, hey, that's what we got to do is the future, right? The youth are the future. The youth are gonna be the ones to take over. So if we ain't setting them up for success, then we only creating our own failure. Because you're going to be old one day. Who going to wipe your butt? Exactly. Think about it.
Man, my robot.
Hey, yo.
My
Look
robot.
here, man. Razor
Ramon.
Happy. Man, classic, man. I was actually watching interviews and he was saying how he got the character got inspired from Scarface.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy, man. Like he played it so well that I thought he was Cuban. He had the accent. Everything was well. The way he dressed, the toothpick, it's just one of my favorite wrestlers, along with Jeff Hardy and Eddie Guerrero. I just wish that I grew up in the early '90s to be able to watch him.
Hardy Boys, Frog Splash, La Raza,
Eddie
Guerrero.
Hey, oh my God! Don't make me cry. Why y'all gonna do this?
R.I.P.
Hey, man. Live, cheat, we steal, man. That's my morals of life.
Man, it's crazy that you say that because it's one of those things that when it comes to like being like having that identity, bring like growing up in that time period, right? We talking about 90s, early 2000s. Wrestling was such a centerpiece for community. And I mean that because we would wrestle at home, we would wrestle at the park, we would wrestle at the gym, we would wrestle in the playground, we would wrestle anywhere that there was
You
people.
wouldn't anywhere you wouldn't get in trouble to do it.
I mean, you do it where you would get in trouble to do it. I remember so many times getting in trouble, and we would act like they were the referees, and we would like include them in on our narrative, where it's like, "Oh, you lucky they holding me back. I'll see you next week. You're gonna see it's gonna go down, brother."
yeah.
And it's like
You gotta
they're
run a
like,
promo.
"Look, yeah, you got to run the promo because we throwing trash cans, we doing the most, right? Like we really was going ham, and to then like now, right, like." Wrestling is still going. It's multi-generational. The Rock is one of the biggest entertainers in the world, being a black and Samoan man at that. It's like
Just got his own TV show. Shout out to the Young Rock TV show. That's big. Dwayne
for real,
Johnson's
for real.
got a sitcom about
Yeah,
his life growing up as a son of a wrestler and the nephew of a wrestler, the grandson of a wrestler.
I mean, you could even look to like speaking of Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, West Side Gun and Conway the Machine, like they used to go by Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. They're rappers from Griselda, right? They're from the East Coast, and they have so many ties and roots in the wrestling that they're like when I was introduced to them, they were Scott Hall and Kevin Nash to me.
They say
Hall and Nash.
Hall and Nash.
And I was like, what? And then they would have the promos of like Ric Flair and all that going on the intros of the songs. And I'm like, yo, this is amazing. I was like, where are we at in the world? You know what I'm saying? So it's like wrestling culture, right? Being able to go to the Cow Palace, like, man, you missed out. Almo, you missed out. We would go to the Cow Palace and it'd be like them either non-televised events or sometimes televised events, but usually it was a non-televised event.
The road shows is legit.
Oh, the road shows was legit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I was thankful. I don't mean to cut you off. I was thankful to go to one show in the Cow Palace back in like 2004, 2005. I think it was like a SmackDown televised show. If not, it was a house show.
Oh yeah, no, that was one of the big ones. I know what you're talking about. That was a big event for a lot of people. I ain't even go, but I remember that.
Just the memory. It's crazy how like San Francisco works. You got Sunnydale, the projects, and then you walk a couple, blocks up. You got iconic, Cow Palace, which is crazy. You know what I mean? Like you got Cow Palace right there, right next to the projects.
Yeah, I mean, people don't even realize like that area exists. Like Sunnydale is one of the largest housing projects in San Francisco, if not the largest. And when we say the housing projects, again, it's the concrete, almost military style barracks that they built back in the day. And right now they're going through gentrification of a whole nother level because again, we don't really have public housing within San Francisco like we used to. A lot of the low income housing units you see nowadays are actually privately owned buildings that they sold the property away to a private company in another state, right? They don't have any stake within, they don't have no real investment other than making money. It's not about the community. It's about how can we get on. And what they do is now they're destroying all of those barrack style homes to then develop these kind of buildings for apartments. So you're right, like people wouldn't even trip. Like it was the same thing with 3Com, right? 3Com, aka Candlestick. For those that know, those that don't know, Candlestick Park was right across the street from another housing project, right? So San Francisco was notorious for their civic display of like, we're going to put the projects right here, and across the street is going to be this gigantic coliseum or stadium for sports events or for whatever, display of whatever we want to put on. So, San Francisco is a trip when you think about it like that. I mean, now it's changed drastically because I don't even know anybody. Like, I mean, granted, this year, it's been what it's been, but Cow Palace in general for the past 15 years, I don't even know. I know the gun show, the weed show, the tattoo show, the knife show. But other than that, you might catch the Adidas sale in the parking lot. But other than that, I don't know. You'd be lucky for the rodeo.
And then the Renaissance Fair.
Oh yeah, don't forget the Dickens. The Dickens still go down. It was has
Yeah,
it gone down 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
yeah. Before the pandemic, it was still
Oh, the
cracking.
pandemic. Yeah, the Dickens. Shout out to the Dickens Fair
During
for those
the
that don't know.
during
Charles
the
Dickens.
holidays, Dickens Fair, folks
Oh yeah.
get dressed up for that.
Oh yeah. Dressed up as in what is that? The early 1800s, the late 1700s. What time period is that? I don't even know no more. It wasn't my life.
Look like Uncle Scrooge out there.
Uncle Scrooge. Scrooge gonna be running through the streets. Cow Palace. That
Ebenezer,
is. Yeah,
Ebenezer
Ebenezer.
Scrooge.
Get his money on. But yeah, I mean, so many things to reminisce on San Francisco, that pocket of time and wrestling in general. I mean, there's no end to the time periods and what's going on through the city and how it's impacted us. So, thank you for bringing that up, Reg Ramon. I'm like, brought it back.
Yeah.
I mean, you got
So
any other little gems you trying to throw out there? You killing it right now. You on fire.
Yeah. Let me see, man. Let me see. What's one, I guess, location out here in Frisco that you remember that is like no longer out here?
Man, okay. So, man, now that you say it, I was getting ready to say when gentrification happened, to bring it right back. My way of coming back to the city was I actually found a way to move into cell space, right? So, for those that don't know about cell space was actually a two-part situation. So, I say we like it was mine, but cell space was this kind of warehouse, right, where they would have events that take place. So, you might have like um man, like I remember they used to sage out till midnight, till the next day. It'd be a 24-hour session where it'd be just a whole Latin community, just family upon families cooking food and literally burning sage all night. And I'd just be chilling with my back to the wall, just in the moment. People would be handing me plates of food, and I'd just be like, I was living there, like in a studio. They had a recording studio over there, and I used to live there for half the week. So that was my way of coming back to the city. And then there was another facility that was like a vacant lot with a warehouse, a smaller warehouse, where if anybody knows the Pack, got my Vans on, but they look like sneakers. That's where they filmed the music video. That was in the back.
I was just playing the Pack this week.
I mean, it's classics, Bay Area classics. People
Shout
get
out
involved.
the 2007 album "Based Boys" by the Pack, produced by Lil Uno.
For real, Lil B the bass guy.
Produced by Lil B and Young L.
For real, like we talking about classics.
Man, I was like, what, when that came out, I was like 5 years old. I think that's around the time, like, Tell Me When to Go Ahead came out. I just remember at the time I was going to Harvey Milk, and I remember going on the school with everybody slapping Tell Me When to Go, and just coming home, turning on the TV. We didn't have cable at the time, so me and my older siblings, we watched that Chewy Gomez show.
CMC Music.
Yeah, we watched that, and I remember watching the Got My Vans On with that Look Like Sneakers music video on there.
Yeah, shout out to Chewy Gomez.
Brought me back for sure.
Yeah, so that cell space is gone now. The lot behind cell space is now a gigantic apartment building. Cell space, like, yeah, there's no remnants of it. It's like apartment building, like straight up. Like whatever memory I had there, that thing is gone for sure.
Yeah, I think the Goodman's hardware store. That used to be on Industrial and Bayshore right there, and then TikToks was on Third Street. Was a fast food restaurant that was local. It's kind of like Beeps, but on the other side of the southeast part of the city. So where Beeps is over by City, and then Whiz Burgers in Mission. You had TikToks that was in Hunters Point. So
yeah,
you used to have all three of those, and TikTok used to have this fish burger, and it wasn't like, it was like actual fish, like fresh fish. It wasn't like the Filet-O-Fish at McDonald's.
What kind of fish is that? It's a Filet-O-Fish. I don't know what kind of fish.
That's the animal, the Filet-O-Fish.
It's the Filet-O-Fish. You got to go down deep into the Pacific Ocean to find that one. The Filet-O-Fish. They be coming in patties,
It's
straight
it's all
breaded.
right. It's already right. Come that
They
way.
just
They
be
swim that
swimming, they
way.
catch it, and they put it in the burger. Filet. I mean, you brought up Goodman Lumber. Hey, no lie, I used to cry going to Goodman Lumber. The reason why I hated Chucky the movie, and Goodman Lumbers used to have a doll when you come
Oh
in
yeah,
that
that
would
that
talk
face.
and it would look, and I'd be like screaming at the top of my lungs as like a 5-year-old, like ah, and my parents would be like, "What is wrong with you?" And I'd be like, "I'm I'm gonna die if you bring me in this store." Goodman
That
Lumber, right?
it
The
was cool
hardware
though,
store.
because it was like a little rainforest type thing going on.
Bruh, I was gonna die in a rainforest, is what you was telling me. That's what you really saying. What you really saying is, as a 5-year-old, I was gonna get murdered in the lumber supply aisle or the rainforest like out stuff they had designed,
The
forestry,
aesthetic,
the
yes,
aesthetic,
the
right?
rainforest, the indoor.
The indoor rainforest aesthetic that was scaring my life. Okay. Goodman Lumber, scary.
What's something
I
that you
mean,
remember, Almo?
yeah, what's something that you remember ain't here no more?
Man, a lot of things, man. I guess you brought up McDonald's. I recall the McDonald's on 16th and Mission. I remember going
Yeah,
there after school. I think it was like around 2014 where they like got rid of it or remodeled it. And then you got the Foot Locker on 17th and Mission. That
yep,
used
that
to
was
be
there.
there. And then me being a student at Mission High School, they had the football field. It used to be like all grass. Well, not grass, but mainly dirt and just like, patches of grass. And then they turned that into a turf field. It was
Yeah,
hideous.
that was a long
That's
time coming.
Yeah, man. And just like the old Dolores Park, the park on 19th and Valencia, just the soccer field used to be concrete and the goals had no nets. It used to be filled with a lot of homeless people just sleeping on the benches and, just memories, man.
For real, for real. People be like, where all these homeless people come from? They got displaced when y'all started showing up to the park. Yeah, gentrifiers. But I mean, you right. Like that was like that's crazy. Like when you bring it up, like that was not that like Foot Locker on 17th. I mean, we all knew it wasn't gonna last, but it was there. It did exist. And what even worse about McDonald's on 16th, Burger King was around the corner, and that's gone too. Like that was my like, let me get my quick little fix before I hop this BART train real quick. But now those little moments and memories is gone, right? Just chilling outside McDonald's, talking forever. Like, bruh, how long can you eat one McChicken? About 3 hours. Just watch me, bruh.
That
Man,
and Mission Pie.
Oh
Shout out to
man.
Mission Pie going now.
Yeah, all of them, everything, everything. You know what I'm saying? Like you just be surprised. You turn around, you was like looking at a store, and all of a sudden it disappeared.
it was crazy, man. Same with the back when they used to have Fast Pass and the transfers, and I don't have that no more.
Yeah, the transfers. Holding
I,
on to
I,
your birthday. Holding
I
on
still.
to the fast pass for your birthday month. Like
Oh
collecting
yeah,
them. Like I got it through the years. I
I
made
still
sure to
got
get
mine
on the
somewhere.
muni.
I think I still got my fast passes somewhere.
Like, can I get that midnight all nighter long strip? Can I get that one time for
Oh
the
yeah,
weekend?
one time
But
just
ooh, man, the all day one.
Like,
yeah,
shout out to the bus drivers who wasn't even paying attention to the time. They was like, here, just take this. I'd be
Man.
like, I got an all day one? What?
yeah.
We got on the
Shout
bus
out,
all day.
shout out to the youth that used the transfer all day though.
Hey, you remember trying to pull the fast one and be like, just show the date and don't show the time?
Sometimes,
You be like, it's the day, right?
sometimes.
That's all that matters. We're gonna need you to pay for another. No, I ain't paying nothing. I'm good. The date
I
is all that matters.
Yeah, if they wouldn't let me ride, I was walking.
For
I
real,
was
for
doing
real.
I was doing a lot of walking
You're
when
gonna
I
get the sad
um
walk going.
nah
How
it
many
was
times you ask? How many times you ask? Hey, can I get a ride? Can I? May I please get a ride? If
just
you just ask.
just a few times. Most of the time I was okay with walking. And I get that. I inherited that from my grandfather. So I walked around the city. I used to walk from Market Street all the way to Hunters Point back home.
You going up
Um,
Third Street?
yeah, fourth and
So
down,
that's
then
a
over
nice
to third.
5 mile walk. A nice 5 mile walk straight through.
Yeah,
Six, yeah, about 5.5, 6 mile walk. And you
that was
going
like
up the hill too? You going up the hill?
that was like my 10th grade life.
Oh yeah, you had strong
10th
calves. You was meant for this.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because first you walk down, then you got to walk from downtown. First you walk from Market all the way southeast down Third. Then from Third, then you got to walk up the hill to live when I lived on the hill. So it's a good time.
I feel you only for the simple fact that I was a walker too, and I would walk like, man, I would walk from Burton Manziel, right, Gottingen Manziel, that
Hmm.
corner. I would walk from there all the way to like Thurgood, down Bayshore, even cut through the underpass to go to Potrero Avenue, right? Depending on what I needed to do, go over the hill through John McLaren Park, right, to get to the Excelsior, to the other side of Mission, to get to the Balboa Bar Station. Like walking around the city, like was an all time thing. Like wherever you was at, you knew if you was willing to do the work, you could get there, right? It's just you got to be willing to do the work. So, I will
Yeah,
say that's one of the best things about it.
but it's only clean when you was walking by yourself. If you was with homies, you might as well just get on the bus.
For real, bro. I had people. You know how many
Nobody
people
be want
used to
to.
just put their weight on me like they was dying in a battle? Like they was like, bruh, I'ma just rest on you one time. And like, no, get off me. And they be like, nah, bro, I'm holding on. And it's like, I'm walking up a hill with a whole body on me. Like, what? I feel you.
Training.
Training me, I ain't never utilized them. You know what I'm saying? Try riding a bike with no gears up a hill. You know what I'm saying? What's that life look like?
Yeah, it's all right.
Better hit
You
them
know,
zigzags.
plus ultra. You do what you gotta do.
Oh
But
yeah, I was
beyond your
definitely in the plus ultra for myself
yeah, beyond limits.
with a smile. Ain't that man talking about bringing it back? Shout
Yeah,
out to the pedestrians. It's a different lifestyle when you walking out here. When you're a real beta, it's ain't. I mean, nothing against New York. Y'all walk everywhere. Y'all got trains and all that and subway system,
and
but we ain't got a integrated network like that. When we gotta go somewhere, if you can't get on the bus, you's gonna have to walk. Right? You might have to say what's up to a couple raccoons along the way, depending on what time of night it is, but you're gonna have to walk.
when I first went to New York, I walked from Harlem from like 125th down to like 42nd. And if I would walk that same distance in the city, I would have just went from Thurgood to like Silver, to like Mission and Silver.
For real. Like, let me break it down to you. Let me break it
But
down
that's
to you. So
like 80,
that
80 blocks
it's literally
in New
like
York. It's just
six,
going like
10 blocks.
six bus stops.
Now, let me break it down to you. I walked from Washington Heights, which is a little bit farther than Harlem, all the way to Times Square, actually past Times Square to the World Trade Center. Right. And I'm
Yeah,
like, this is it. I'm like, they made Manhattan seem like the most gigantic place in the world. And I'm like, bruh, I used to walk from Ocean Beach to Pier 39 or from Daly City Bar to the marina. Like that was just a normal thing to do. Like I'm a walk, cut through the Mission, walk down the Mission. Like I will walk. And I'm sitting here in New York, right? The first time, and I'm like, oh yeah, let's just walk. And I'm like, wait, this is Central Park? I'm like, oh, that's the museum. Oh, okay. This Times Square. Oh, okay. All these
it's,
landmarks.
it's all like it's
I'm
close to
like,
each other.
I made it through everything. How Spider-Man make it seem like he just flying everywhere and it's super
That's
huge. And I did it
why
in like
that's why he can get somewhere everywhere so fast because he ain't going that far.
too much going on in this little island. Okay. That's all I'm saying.
That's why he could swing from the East Village through Hell's Kitchen to Harlem and then back back to the Daily Bugle just like that because he ain't going
And
that
that's
far.
I mean, I love New York, don't get me wrong, but that's when I realized it's really just because it's old. That's all it is. It's just old. It just has so much time to set the flavor didn't set in, so it's just been there for like a long. Because San Francisco don't, if it don't feel that old, so that's the biggest difference. Because I'm like, I walked the whole all of Manhattan.
But Central Park is big though.
It's big, but when you from the city, it's kind of like, I mean, what kind of big we talking about? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, really think about it. You walk that thing, I'm already out of it. I'm already gone.
Well,
Like,
because yeah, yeah.
see, that's what I'm
But
just
if you
saying. I'm
walk
just
within
saying.
it a few times, then you can feel like it's big.
Yeah, loop de loo, loop de lie. Okay, loop de
Yeah,
loo.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's all it is. Going in circles. See, look what you almost done started something. He done got us going down the path of reminiscing on city infrastructure and civics.
Yeah, we'll catch him in the summer because I know he gonna have some music for us for the summer.
Oh yeah, he
We'll
gonna have
we'll
to have some August nights, some hot August nights music. I know that's for sure.
yeah, I know
Talking
you're
about
talking.
West Coast
Yeah, I got some, to the homies. Stay tuned, man.
for sure, for
But
sure.
yeah, man. Now I'm reminiscing, man. My muni rides when I was like 5 years old. I think they used to be like 50 cents, 75 cents. Man.
Yep. They used
And
to
just
be a nickel and a dime. They used to be a quarter when we was young.
See, I remember the 35 cent time period, that quarter dime tragedies. Oh man,
That was that when they added that dime. That was a big thing.
that was a big thing, man.
We
You you know what I used to do once I caught on? I was like, if I just bring a bunch of pennies and jam the system, I'm saving the world. Like really, I would come on the bus with a Ziploc of pennies, dump it in, it would clog up the thing, and then they'd be like, all right, just go to the back.
diabolical.
I was on it, bruh. I'm trying to save the world out here. You want a free ride on the Muni? I got you. All day, you just gonna see the transfers just with a rubber band around out of order. Just get
man.
your transfer. Keep going. I'm out
That-
here saving y'all.
man. One of my strategies, one thing I noticed, like the drivers, they didn't really pay attention to the amount. So at one point it was 75 cents. I probably just put in like a couple of nickels and dimes, you know what I'm saying? It just wouldn't pay attention.
Oh yeah, we all had them moments. I remember them. Like they don't even care. They just be like, as long as they hear clink, 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 and they
Yeah.
give you your transfer. Yeah.
But see, the thing is, it was really about their compassion. Right, that's where they was doing it. It wasn't that they didn't care or they wasn't noticing. They was looking the other way to look after people
You're right.
because
100.
they wasn't in control of people's situation. And so sometimes that's their way of giving back is to let people ride. And as long as people was willing to pay something, they knew that they wasn't, it wasn't because they didn't have, it was because they didn't have it that they would, wasn't paying.
And don't get on it. Don't say nothing because they will say that to you. Like at least pay something. Like you ain't even gonna acknowledge I'm here. And I'm like, my bad, bro.
Yep, that's it.
I know. But
Yep,
you're
just
right.
say
That's
you
true.
say you ain't got it.
Shout out to the Muni
The Muni-
drivers with
The Muni
compassion.
drivers, the illest bus drivers, the illest in the world.
For real. You be chopping it up real quick, getting put on some game. Wouldn't even know it. Just stand behind the line.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's a throwback, man. Back when the buses used to be all tagged up as well, man.
Yeah,
The
I seen
late
bus
night
dri-
rides, man.
late night rides for real.
Oh yeah, them late night rides. Especially if you ever had a bad situation, you for surely could get your sleep on 4 in the morning on a 9 to 14 to 91. Like them really when it was crucial when you didn't have a place to go, Muni was on. So shout out to Muni for real, for real. Muni is essential to the living in San Francisco experience. Like Muni is like I remember people was trying to steal the jackets and the hats because they just wanted to wrap it so hard. Like I want that brown and orange. Like I'm like, ugh, you got that hat. How you do that? Man,
Yeah,
don't
they're
trip.
still the illest uniforms.
For real, for real. Got us on episode 38, Almo Thug, reminiscing on the great San Francisco city, Frisco. My goodness. Going down the rabbit hole, I tell you.
Yeah,
Yeah, man, it's
thank
crazy.
you, thank you for
I got
coming
another
on, bro.
question, man. I got another question. This one's for you. You had mentioned, living in HP, man. Uh, would they bump RBL Posse out there in HP
Yeah,
like back in the day?
yeah. I've been listening to RBL for forever.
Yeah,
Like
because I heard that like RBL used to get like hate in their own hood.
I mean, that had nothing to do with the music though. Like it didn't stop people from listening to the music. Um like they got Black C got killed, you know, in the city. And so that's one of the things. Like they had just signed a record deal, and then then Hitman, they just went through tough times where a member got killed, and just after the 1996. But yeah, I used to always front, back, side to side while you was ride to this. There's a bluebird on my shoulder, can I kill it? Man, there's a bluebird on my shoulder, can I kiss it on my shoulder? Yeah, like our RBL, like I grew up listening to, just a lot of hip hop, and like growing up, I didn't know that Bay Area music, that San Francisco music, that our rap, our hip hop was underground. I didn't know it was indie music because we used to listen to it all the time. I thought it was popular music, and I didn't know that we just had entrepreneurs and independent folks who was hustling and grinding, getting their music out, to the streets. But that's something that's a part of the heritage. That's something that's part of the lifestyle and the mentality of music, people making music in the Bay Area. But I didn't know that a lot of our stuff was independent. I didn't know it was in underground music.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, people don't realize that that we kind of lived in a bubble with our music, because a lot of the local stuff was everything. Like it was the mainstream to us because you hear it all the time. You hear it all around you, and it created this false sense of identity within like a larger like kind of national scope. Like, well, how do we fit in this equation when you talk about the greats and you don't acknowledge the greats that we have here, right? Like we holding it down, and people talk about ownership now. Guess where the game came from?
Yeah, I mean,
The Bay.
and still, right? Just like Lil B, like producing, so much music, writing for so many people, making music for so many people, for people wanting that boom clap sound. Like after Bass Boys came out, so much music after that sounded like Lil B and Young L's production. Like after that, like whether it was Cat Daddy or um, Tyga's music, or Drake, like just the whole 2000s was just sounding like the Bay. Even early, 2010s, it sounding like the Bay, and people wasn't, talking about it. I mean, you still get some of that. Um, yeah, you still get a lot of that that sound, especially now with this TikTok era. A lot of this music that's coming out is still sounding like that stuff from back then.
Yeah, shout out to one of the greatest producers ever known, Rick Rock. My goodness, like
True.
just had to shout that out because the Federation album is a classic for that era. Anyways, I digress.
So many classics out of there. So many
So
classics
many,
out of
so
the
many.
from 2000 to 2010. So many classics from the Bay that influenced hip hop and popular music in a major way.
Mr. Fab, son of a, I ain't gonna say it on here because we're gonna respect the language barriers, but amazing, iconic time period to be in. Any
EA
final
Ski.
thoughts? Any final words? Man, tracks million. Anyways, like any final thoughts, final words?
Just want to say that I appreciate Almo Thug coming on here and kind of telling us um, really what the youth is thinking. What the young, independent artist is thinking, and his mindset. That he's community oriented. Even though he's focused on his music, he's also focused on school. Focused on giving back. It's big to see that. It's important that we see that. From our community. And just a native of San Francisco and a young cat, 21 years old. Congratulations, happy belated, back in December. But yeah, I appreciate you coming through, bro. It's big, glad you came in at the last minute, answered the call. But I feel like you shared a lot with us. I feel like we was able to learn a lot from you, and I look forward to Rolling in the West. Coming out tomorrow.
For sure. Everybody go listen to that. As soon as it comes out tomorrow, bump that Almo Thug. ALLMOTHUG.
That's it.
Okay. Get to it. Yeah. Any final thoughts, Almo, before we wrap up?
Yeah. I'm not trying to hold y'all for too long. I just want to say I'm thankful to the folks that have been supporting. I'm thankful for y'all. What I'm saying, for having me here. And, shout out to Figo for calling me. And yeah, man, just God bless y'all. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay tuned. Rolling in the West drops tomorrow.
For sure, for sure. Yes, take it easy. This has been another episode 38 of the Lyrical Ones podcast. And as we like to do at this time, because it turns out that, the iPod I've been using, because I do use the iPod to play the theme song, is actually on its way out the door. That's something that is a whole nother tragedy in my life, besides Daft Punk breaking up this week. So, as we get to it, it's just everybody, be true to yourself, love yourself, be good to yourself, and just keep repping for your people, because that's what it's all about.
Love people, man. The closest you get to God is the person across from you. One.